I honored a group of trailblazing artists with National Medals of Arts and Humanities. The group included groundbreaking Asian Americans like Vera Wang and Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce it right, Shanga Kawawa. I think I pronounced it correctly. She can call me Joe Biden.
Yeah, I don't think that'll make up for it, but I guess she can call you Joe Biden. What is she, a koala? Is that what he said? Some kind of Shin Bin koala? Is that what Joe Biden said yesterday? I'd like to feel sorry for him, you know. If he were the starter at the golf course, I would. But instead, he's the leader of the free world. Can I say the titular leader of the free world? Is it halal to say that here? Bad to the bone. Well, happy Tuesday unto you, and welcome. We remain at 888-630-9625. Joe Biden remains a dunderhead. Yesterday last night I did my Newsmax show, day one of the Newsmax show, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, seen nationally and globally on Newsmax, which is growing and thriving, unlike other organizations that might be dying in some form of autoerotic asphyxiation, but I don't really want to single them out for. Last night, we used a bit of video of Joe Biden, riding his bicycle with the helmet on, and when the bicycle stopped, he forgot to put his foot down or which foot to put down, and he fell over like a log. It's on some level, it's kind of funny. On another level, it's sort of tragic, of course. I'm glad he didn't break a hip or something like that. But when I watched that video, it did remind me of a kid in the neighborhood when I was growing up. A kid, his name was Ricky. Ricky had a three-wheeled bicycle. When he was kind of grown up, he was almost a teenager, and he still had a three-wheeled bicycle. And he had to wear a hockey helmet. He had to wear a hockey helmet everywhere he went. It was before bicycle helmets, because people didn't ride bicycles. They'd wear a helmet to ride a bicycle. What are you, Evel Knievel? And so Ricky wore a hockey helmet everywhere he went. And I'm thinking that if Joe Biden is reelected to another 4 years as president, and I'm signing the cross right now, presumably he will not be, especially with his poll numbers now. I think he might have to wear a hockey helmet every day. Joe Biden, the first president to have to wear a hockey helmet every day at the White House and on Air Force One, holding press conferences with foreign leaders. He's wearing a hockey helmet in case he falls over like he did that day on his bicycle. It's, again, on some level, it's sad and tragic. And then on another level, you really have to laugh, because what are you going to do? That's our president. And the Democrats and the media, they elected him. They got him elected. And more votes than anybody in the history of the country. Isn't that amazing? Never left his basement. The media ran the campaign. They really can get a can of soup elected. Then they got that guy with the carbuncle on his head, Fetterman from the Addams family. They got him elected to the Senate. He was running against a heart surgeon and professor of heart surgery who's a television star that looks like he could, be in TV commercials. And Oprah used to love him. And the guy with the Addams family carbuncle, he won a Senate seat instead. And you see him, he shows up like a guy lurking around the schoolyard. He looks like he's got basketball shorts and gym shoes and a hoodie. He's got that hoodie. We know why he wears the hoodie. But, the news media really, they could get a pit viper elected to Congress if they wanted to, over a thoracic surgeon. Isn't that amazing? Who's a TV star, not like he's not well-spoken or something. It's pretty amazing. That's what the media can do for you if you're a Democrat. And Joe Biden, they're telling us Joe Biden is doing great. You saw his poll numbers. We were talking about him yesterday. Turns out his new low poll number, it's the lowest of his presidency, and the Democrats, and that means the media, are in a panic. They're in a panic. This time it's not about their gender, it's about their party. And they are concerned. It's the lowest approval rating at this point in anyone's presidency since Harry Truman. Harry Truman. That's probably not good if you're a Democrat. But we'll get into a little bit of that because you're crazy Democrats, aren't they? Aren't they nuts? There's a meeting at the White House today over the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling. We've got a national debt of $31.722 trillion. That's trillion dollars. We started paying it off at $1 a second. Right now, it would take us about 900,000 years to pay it off. That's no kidding. About 900,000. Jesus Christ roamed the earth about 2,000 years ago. It'd take us that plus 898,000 years to pay it off. Isn't that amazing? And the Republicans, they've offered to increase the national debt and the debt ceiling, we call it a ceiling, by $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion. And the Democrats say, oh, no, that's not nearly enough. We got to bankrupt this place faster than that. This goes to the Cloward and Piven strategy. If you're not familiar with that, a couple of radical extremist left-wing college professors who came up with a plan long ago to bankrupt capitalism on the planet Earth by bankrupting the United States and destroying our economy completely. The Democrats are they're executing that plan. Pretty amazing stuff. But there's a meeting at the White House today, and Kevin McCarthy is going to go there and try to express himself clearly and articulately. And we'll see what happens. And Joe Biden is going to be there too. He's going to try to express himself clearly and articulately. And maybe Kamala Harris will be there as well, and she will also attempt to express herself clearly and articulately. We are really in a tough spot, aren't we? And you know why? Because politics is such an awful business that nobody in their right mind wants the job. Nobody wants to be president. Who wants to be president? Would you, if they made you president today? I'd take Air Force One on a trip around the world, and then I'd say, I'd kind of stretch out, look at my watch, and say, I don't think this is the right thing, and I'd get a few oceanfront multi-million-dollar estates like Barack Obama after getting my Netflix deal or whatever. Yeah, urgency in debt ceiling meeting is the headline lead story, Washington Post today. Biden set to host McCarthy, leaders. Wall Street braces as potential default looms. That's only if the Democrats and Joe Biden don't negotiate. And we got Cringe on Pierre is insisting yesterday that they're not, and day before, that they're not, or Friday rather, that they're not going to negotiate, that they're not going to negotiate with the Republicans at all because they know they've got the media. The media's in the tank for them, so they can, honestly, they could impale babies on the White House fence all day long, and the media would say that they were reaffirming a woman's right to choose. Little medieval thing going on there. So the big meeting at the White House, and the media demands that we increase the debt ceiling by more than $1.5 trillion. $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there, and pretty soon we're talking about real money. It's an amazing time to be alive. Also, I told you yesterday that the Washington Post had a front page story on the Hispanic gentleman that murdered people at a mall in Texas. Now, the day before yesterday, they had it on page 32. Then they decided they're going to call the Hispanic gentleman a white supremacist, and then it's on the front page for 2 days. Because racial division is what it's all about with the Democrat Party, and the Washington Post, God knows, is the Democrat Party in print. So they've got this, Mauricio Garcia, 33 years old, who murdered 8 people and wounded more in a horrible massacre. And they're saying that Mauricio Garcia is a white supremacist, racist, neo-Nazi. The Nazis were a socialist workers' party, just to be clear. It's a pretty amazing story. But now that they're identifying him as a white supremacist, now it's front page news. When they learned that it was just some Hispanic guy, it was page 32 news. And then they said, wait a minute, he had this weird patch on his vest, right-wing death squad, RWDS, and a patch. And he's up sewing. He's a stretch and sew teacher as well. Amazing stuff. So Mauricio Garcia, what a country, America. We got, the white supremacist movement. Their ranks were thinning. So they say, we're going to have to start taking minorities into the white supremacy. But they're not white. Well, we need people to pay dues. We got to have people bring stuff to the clan bake. honestly. So Mauricio Garcia, white supremacist. What a country. Of course, they attack African-American Republicans and conservatives all over the place and say that they're like racists in blackface. Not that they're the racists peddling the racial division or any of that stuff, but we got that going. So we have that. Also, the Washington Post, front page story, self-aggrandizing front page story. 3 Pulitzer Prizes honor Washington Post work. That's the headline. Subheadline is abortion reporting. I'm just going to stop there because that's a Pulitzer Prize for abortion reporting. Because, the extermination of 40% of the black population on an ongoing basis must continue. And they give out awards for it. Maybe the Washington Post will get the Margaret Sanger Award this year, too, which Hillary Clinton received once, and Hanoi Jane Fonda won. Remember her? She said that COVID is God's gift to the left. That's what Hanoi Jane said. She's a Democrat in perfectly good standing. And on The View, she said her solution for people with whom she disagrees is murder.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say? Murder.
Murder. And they all giggled. Ha, 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 murder. Murder them all. Oh, instead of, if you're pro-life, you should be murdered. That's on The View, and that's all good fun on ABC. Keep in mind that Benito Mussolini, Il Duce, described fascism as the merger of state and corporate power. He was talking about the modern news media, of course, and what we have today is a merger between the Democrat Party and the overwhelming majority of American news media. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. So we got that going for us. And Joe Biden, boy, he's not the brightest guy in the world. So he gives us hours of mirth and merriment every day, doesn't
Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce right, Shanga Koala.
Shanga Koala, Shin Bang Shanga Koala. And what was her first name? Joan Shin Bang Shala Koala? Shamala Ramalama Ding Dong? That's our president of the United States. And the media sees that and they say, that was good. He did real good. Right? And they get a Starbucks. They cheat on their spouses and their taxes and their expense reports. And then they go on television and they lie to people, or they type something up that is misrepresentative of the truth. Oh, also, did you see yesterday there was an event at the White House complex next door to the big White House with the columns in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, as it is now known. And Joe Biden holding an event there. And the New York Post wanted to send a reporter, and they disallowed the New York Post because they're fascists. You see, that's the thing about them. The New York Post reporter told, no, we have no room for you. And then you look at the room, and there were empty seats galore. You could have brought in like a classroom on a field trip to fill the seats. But they told the New York Post that they couldn't have a reporter in there because they've reported true stories about the Biden family that are negative. And in 2023, it's okay to exclude reporters like your Benito Mussolini, like your Manuel Noriega. You just don't allow the reporters in that might ask questions that you don't like. See what I'm saying? James Rosen of Newsmax and Peter Doocy at Fox News, and that's all I get. And they just blow them off, and the rest of the news media doesn't speak up. The White House Correspondents Association said, hey, why aren't you allowing these people in that have been writing stories of you about you that you don't like? And they said, because we're fascists. And the White House Correspondents Association said, oh, okay, well, that's all right. Where's my seat? I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but that's more or less it. Yeah. Crickets from corporate media. See corporate media. Again, see Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism, a merger of state and corporate power. And the information oligarchs are key to the Democrat Party's success. And Ganga Langa, Koala, whatever her name is, that's okay too. It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Yes, sir. We've got stories out of communist China, and San Francisco continues to implode. Recycling plastic might be worse than not recycling plastic for the environment. And we are at 888-630-9625. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. Joe Biden, Lunch Bucket Joe. Falling over Joe. Falling up the steps, Joe. He falls up the steps. Not just once, either. And, Cringe was asked about that, and she said it's very windy going up those steps to an airplane. There's a lot of wind, and he's not very stable, so the wind blows him over. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. We remain at 888-630-9625, and we got a lot of Democrat crazy. And we got Hillary Clinton for you today, too. Hillary spoke. Boy, every time I think of Hillary Clinton, I want to thank Donald Trump again for winning the election that you remember, she couldn't lose. She had a 97% likelihood of winning the election, according to all media, something like that. And then she lost, and it was whatever time, 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was one of the great moments. I've had a lot of great moments at 1:30 in the morning, but that one was right up there. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Daniel calling from Washington, D.C. On hell, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, good morning. I mean, thank God for you guys and your station. I was listening to one of the other local stations last night while I was going to bed, and they brought up the polls between Trump and Biden. Biden was like 38%. Trump had 44%. And then the announcer said something along the lines of, but people are more worried about Biden's cognitive health. Rather, Trump and all of his issues with his part in the January 6th insurrection, all the lawsuits from all the sexual harassment from women, and his mishandling of top secret documents, which, by the way, were protected by the Secret Service, but mentioned nothing about Joe and his mishandling of top secret documents, ones that he shouldn't even have had in his possession, but they were guarded by his Corvette in his garage.
They were. And what did you conclude, Daniel, when you were listening to that other radio station? What do you conclude about that radio station?
Well, the only thing they're really good for is traffic and weather, and that's about it. Because everything else that comes out of their mouth is just nonsense.
Well, this station does traffic and weather too.
They won't call the other.
I think this station in Washington, WMAL, does traffic and weather before them, as a matter of fact. And our traffic and weather is truthful. I think they lie about the traffic and weather, too. You know, the weather for them is a political issue.
You know what the song says?
No.
Gunga Galunga.
Gunga Galunga. I think maybe Joe Biden yesterday was turning into Bill Murray in Caddyshack without knowing it.
Joan, Shingang, Shanga, Kawawa.
And then the Lama said,
Gunga la Gunga.
there will be no tip, but on your deathbed, you'll experience total consciousness. Maybe that's what Joe Biden was trying to say at the White House yesterday. Was that the event that they didn't allow the New York Post into because they might ask questions?
Kawawa.
Not even close there, Joe, but it's okay. He's not a racist because he's a Democrat, and God knows the party of Jefferson Davis and Nathan Bedford Forrest and Jim Crow could never be racist. Of course, he was a segregationist and didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle.
I think I pronounced it correctly.
You're wrong again. He's wrong a lot, though. Boy. Now, Democrats, as we know, Democrats have a lot of gender identity issues, don't they? A lot of them. And we were talking about it yesterday. I was down at Newsmax talking about the high school teacher in Texas that admonished the students in her high school classroom for calling a child molester and referring to the child molester as a pedophile or pedophile, if you prefer. And she tried to shut them down, the free speech thing, and said, we don't call child molesters anymore because the Democrat Party is pro-pedophile now, and they're mainstreaming child sexual abuse. That's part of their thing.
We're not going to call them that. We're going to call them MAPs. No. Minor attracted persons. No. So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
That's right. They're minor attracted persons, not even people, but persons. And don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old. I think, regardless, she lost her job, by the way. It was Texas. Probably got a job in California, though. Did you know that California, this is a crazy stat, and again, more news out of San Francisco, the dying city, thanks to the Democrats. Did you know that California has half of the homeless people in the United States of America? The whole country, it's a big country. We have, in case there are Democrats, we have 50 states, and California is only one of them. And the District of Columbia, where I live, which is not a state at all, and that's a good thing. And California has a full half of the homeless people. And what are they doing about it? Of course, if I were homeless, I might move to California too. Look at all the things you can do in the street in San Francisco. If you made a TV show today called The Streets of San Francisco, it'd be a very different show than the old TV show, The Streets of San Francisco, wouldn't it? Speaking of which, here's the story that the Washington Post and the New York Times are not coming. Trans woman, that means man, right? Man, listen to the headline. It's a great headline. Trans woman is cleared of flashing her penis at 3 women using Ohio YMCA after a judge ruled that she's too fat for her genitals to be visible. Now, see, this is what the Democrats have done. 10 years ago, this would have been unthinkable. But the headline refers to her penis, right? And ruled that she's too fat for her genitals, meaning her penis, to be visible. That's right. Darren Glines, who now goes by Rachel Glines, was found not guilty of 3 counts of indecent exposure. The 31-year-old's lawyer claimed that her gut was too large for her penis to be exposed. This is what Democrats have done. They've erased gender and women in particular. Men can be women at the drop of a hat, but we've got an update on that too, because another biological man won another trophy that was intended for women in another athletic contest, and the Democrat Party once again comes down on the side of, guess what? One of the complainants at the YMCA stated that there were 3 juveniles present during the incident in Xenia, Ohio. A judge ruled that a transgender woman with a penis, could not have indecently exposed her penis in a YMCA female changing room after agreeing with her that she's too fat for it to be visible. That's your Democrat Party right in a nutshell right there.
What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you bigot.
Isn't that amazing? So the Democrats have made this normal, right? Michael Piercy saw the story on the internet today, and he went to search for it. And he searched for trans, he typed in trans, and then fat. And as you can imagine, a bunch of dietary recommendations came up about not eating trans fats and, McDonald's French fries and things like that. And he's like, no, the other one. Not this trans fat, the other The other one got a different one altogether. And this reminded, of course, us of the story from March, not so long ago in New York City. The New York Post had the story. Trans woman, see, here we go again, left sobbing in JFK Airport after TSA agent hit her testicles. Now, Democrats claim to be the party of science, right? They're the party of science. The thing is, if you have a penis and testicles, I don't mean to be indelicate, you are in all probability a man. You may not be a very good man. You might not be good at it. And that's the thing. I think that, you went to school and had these, these people like, Tommy Fisher, who maybe not very good at being a boy, didn't grow up to be very good at being a man. But that doesn't mean that you're a woman. That just means that you're a man who's not very good at it. See? So you can't run faster, you can't jump higher, you can't do a lot of things, and maybe the girls don't like you. But that's, that doesn't mean that you're a lady. That's the thing. Now we have audio of a nice lady who is a bicycle racer. She is a 3-time Olympic bicycle racer, and she's a woman, and identifiably so. Her name is Inga Thompson. Inga Thompson is the woman, and she's great at what she does, right? And there's a transgender category in our story sheet today because the Democrats got out of bed yesterday. So that's the thing. So this former U.S. Olympian, 3-time Olympian, who seems like a perfectly nice woman and a serious person and a serious athlete, Inga Thompson. And she is asking women who are bicycle racers, cyclists, to start taking a knee, a la Doofus McDoofus face from the NFL, who ruined everything for everyone. Start taking a knee. Former U.S. Olympian calls for protest against UCI's trans cyclist policy. That UCI, is that like a urinary cyclist infection? Is that what that is? Because I think it's a UTI, it's a urinary tract infection reference. I know a lot of stuff. Start taking a knee, she says. Former U.S. Olympian calls for protests against UCI's trans cyclist policy. A former 3-time U.S. Olympian is calling on cyclists to take a knee at the starting line of bicycle races to protest the World Cycling Governing Body's decision to allow trans, meaning biological men, cyclists to compete in the female category. Inga Thompson, the road cyclist for Team USA, took to Twitter on Sunday after a week filled with controversy following trans cyclist Austin Killips. It's like Phillips, but it's Killips. Killips, quote, victory, end quote, in the Tour of the Gila. It's a bicycle race, overall category against female riders last week. Right? And she said it's time for women cyclists to start protesting UCI cycling policy. Thompson tweeted on her Twitter. And would that have been banned? Would that have been banned under the leftists who don't believe in free speech? And they've got, again, it's the merger of political and corporate entities, just as Benito Mussolini described. Start taking a knee at the starting line. Team managers need to speak up and protect their riders. Hold signs at every race. Quote, save women's sports. It should be save our sports. Then it's SOS, like that. So here is the woman cyclist, Inga Thompson, saying, it's about time. Again, we've had biological men take home the women's trophies and golf tournament in Australia, weightlifting tournament. That's a real hard one to figure out. This is not the first bicycle race. The track and field, it goes on and on. What other sports there? Swimming. Oh, swimming, of course. And they're all over the place. Female American Team USA Olympic cyclists, Inga Thompson.
We've assembled a group of many, many Olympians, many supporters, and most of the staff, everybody that works in cycling has been actively silenced, asked to be quiet, shamed, and not given a voice. And cycling media has really effectively shut down all dialogue about this. And so many of us on the outside are trying to be this voice, to give the women confidence to step forward without the fear of losing their sponsorship. And this is why we're asking the owners of the team to step up, to fans to come, and to have an active support of these women so that we can have equality in women's sports.
Now, did you hear all the words in there? The buzzwords: fear, all dialogue has been shut down, silenced, shamed. The cycling media, they have cycling media, as it turns out, and their media. So it doesn't matter what the realm is. It can be swimming media, and they shut down dialogue. They silence people. They shame people until they are living in fear. Because this is the left. And in the United States of America, we're living through sort of a reign of terror because the left is completely insane and they have secured information dominance and cultural dominance in the United States of America. And they're erasing women from everything. All the best women are men these days, according to the Democrat Party. And they go home with all the trophies. Can you imagine what a loser you'd have to be a biological male and show up at women's athletic events and go home with the trophies with a smile on your face? Not raised to be a gentleman, I guess. Remember the idea of gentlemanliness? Gentlemanliness is a very important cultural standard, a cultural norm, and the Democrat Party has burned that to the ground and looted the stores around it. Here's Inga Thompson.
Over the last few years, we have over 17 peer-reviewed studies that show that this is not fair to the women.
Now, that made me laugh out loud when I heard her say that. Over the last few years, we've had over 17 peer-reviewed studies that show that it's not fair to the women. This is not science. This is politics. And it's a demented kind of anti-science politics, too. We have to have 17 peer-reviewed studies to learn what everybody's known for thousands of years. Why? Well, the correct answer is because of the Democratic Party. That's why. And then you know what they do with these 17 peer-reviewed studies? They burn them like they're police cars. Oh yeah, more violence in New York yesterday because the homeless, mentally ill, drug-addicted Michael Jackson impersonator. Well, gosh, Inga, what should people do about it?
We're now asking for everybody to protest for the protection of women.
The protection of women. Remember when, as a culture, we protected? Remember, honestly, Title IX and protecting women's sports, and it's about fairness. That used to be an American value. It still is an American value. But it is not a value of the left, and the Democrat Party is the left. Make no mistake, they're not liberals, they're the left. Here's Inga Thompson talking about, well, I guess, we've got a Supreme Court justice that if you ask her what's a woman, she doesn't know because she's not a biologist, she's not a scientist.
It was kind of interesting. The science has been there for years, and it's been actively ignored because they would rather have inclusion than fairness for the women.
Inclusion rather than fairness, these are buzzwords. Inclusion versus fairness for women. I'm kind of an old-fashioned gentleman. I open doors for women. I defer to women in a variety of, getting on elevators and things because I'm polite and I'm a gentleman. These people have blown up politeness. And the very concept of being a gentleman has been destroyed by who? By an organization called the Democratic Party. Remember feminism? Bring back feminism. And stop groping women all over the place. Speaking of which, Tara Reid sexually assaulted by Joe Biden when she was on his Senate staff, so to speak, will be testifying on Capitol Hill soon. Not that the Democrats are inviting her up there, but the Republicans are. Remember Pound Me Too? That was all a big lie. Now there's a You know, I don't like to talk about myself, and because I'm so modest and humble, particularly given how amazing I am. But news. I started my television show on Newsmax last night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I hope you can tune in. Last night was night one. We're gonna get better and better every day, and now my friend Maria Leaf at the Washington Examiner has some breaking news here from the Washington Examiner. The headline is Chris Plante wins conservative Pulitzer. Chris Plante wins conservative Pulitzer after debuting on Newsmax. Not actually related, but I like the putting the two pieces together. And Paul Bedard, writing it up, the Washington Secrets column, my friend Maria Leaf at the Washington Examiner sent it to me. Chris Plante wins conservative Pulitzer after debuting on Newsmax. It's been a pretty good week so far for radio host Chris Plante. Not only did he launch his new Newsmax show, The Right Squad, Monday night, but today he also won the so-called conservative Pulitzer for his brash takedowns of liberals on his nationally syndicated radio show based out of Washington's WMAL. He joins several others from right-leaning outfits in winning the Media Research Center's second annual Bulldog Awards. And the list was provided to the Washington Examiner Secrets today, a day after the Pulitzers were awarded, mostly to left-leaning outlets, including the New York Times and the Washington Post. It is on the front page of the Washington Post there. Media Research Center founder and president Brent Bozell III said the Bulldog Award winners are trusted truth-tellers, unlike left-wing operatives who win Pulitzers. These are courageous individuals dedicated to informing Americans about stories the leftist media ignore. Congratulations to all, said Brent Bozell. And Brent Bozell is a great American and a great fan, and I'm a great fan of his, rather. And the Media Research Center is a great organization. MRC.org and Newsbusters, wonderful organization. Great stuff. Yes, sir. And last year, the winner of the for a radio talk show host was the great one, was Mark Levin. So I've got to say, I feel like I'm in pretty good company here. Pretty good company indeed. And I've got more on that coming up, as a matter of fact.